warfare, seeing as how it's just crucial for so many things. Get our little trading ships that we built, and we'll send them over here to really buff up. Currently it's 49. Now it is 53, so every single boat that we send over there generates roughly around 400 more income for France. So that's good. And in Venice, we have 2 ports going on. One military port, which is producing absolutely huge warships with 122 guns. And I think we also have a trading port here producing frigates. Though, you know, I'm actually not too sure anymore inside this game whether or not which ships are for trading and which ships are for trade or fighting. Because I think the merchantman is the only one that that does trading. I'm not too sure though, because they don't seem to list the trait trade, unlike Empire Total War, which is kind of odd, but alright. Alright, well in that case, I guess we're just going to have to push forward. From Croatia, we can send up some troops to Budapest. And, oh, I learned, I just realized that we can pull up this panel earlier today. So this will be rather helpful in that it will minimize the amount of idle troops sitting around, so that is rather nice. Yeah, in like I really like how Rome Total War did this, in that they had a panel specifically for checking which armies you have that have not moved, so it makes it really rather handy. Inside this game, unfortunately, we don't, so we're just going to have to keep this lists panel open and check it instead. So anyhow, that's well, that's no big deal. That's just there. Let's pick out a few troops to build this turn. I think we'll get some French mariners or mariners. I think these guys are more or less Marines, I would imagine. And we can get some Portuguese legions. We can get let's see, some other weird legionnaire, some other famous regiments. And we'll assemble them under a force under this guy, Louis Nicholas Devout, which was one of Napoleon's secondary generals. And he was overall, like, you know, a fairly competent man, but I think most of the fame went to Ney and Napoleon himself. He was one notable person during this time period, but he was sort of on the sidelines, just kind of overshadowed by other people, unfortunately. Now this should be a fast odd result battle, so we'll take it, peacefully occupy it, and rebuild the infrastructure. Likewise, we'll recruit some of these French regiments, whatever, over there. Napoleon's healing up, so is Ney. Get Napoleon to camp inside this town to make his recruitment a little faster, and that should be it for this turn. There we go. Is that one unit stack really going to siege Vienna? I don't know, maybe we'll find out in a little bit, but it looks like the Prussians are mounting their armies. Alright, there we go. So now, oops, apparently one of our little classical universities is on fire, and I can't seem to jump to it very easily. We'll get this university fixed up, so then it'll build the new thing, and from there, I want to build mass mobilization and stuff like that, so we will go from there. So now, what should we do? One more turn has elapsed, and our forces are currently assembling. You know, this Let's Play will probably be pretty fast, seeing as how you can really blitz these battles in a really small amount of time, just due to kind of how they are made. Oh, it looks like Napoleon's army is full, so we'll send these troops to Ney. Actually, we'll send these troops as reserves, simply because Ney is actually going to go forward and is going to make a stand against what I presume to be von Blücher over here with the big army. It's apparently Friedrich Wilhelm von Bülow. which is leading that army, so not him. Now, I think Napoleon will go to Prague, and he'll camp out at Prague, so that later on we can mount an offensive from here into Saxony and go from here. And what else should we do this turn? So this area is under our control. Vienna should be pumping out some light infantries. And more trade ships have appeared, so we're going to grab these, and we're going to send them to trade more spices. Spices and ivory, although ivory seems to be the main thing inside this game. Yeah, that's going to buff up our income by quite a bit. And in the meantime, how is the French naval effort going? Unfortunately, these ships build incredibly slowly. To produce one of these 122 gun frigates, it'll take like 7 turns. So, I mean, I think it's like 3 or 4 months inside the game. So, I mean, it's still relatively fast in real lifetime, but it's fairly slow in game. I mean, as soon as we get some juggernaut ships, I guess we'll fight a few of the naval battles. But before then, I'm probably just going to auto-resolve them, simply because, like when it's sloop versus sloop, it's not very fun to watch, nor is it very fun to play. And let's see. There we go. So at least the turns inside this game is fairly fast compared to what's it called? Rome Total War. Get those 2 settlements fixed up. We will train some more troops over here, and Michael Ney is going to siege the settlement. He's going to siege it. I'm going to bring some more troops over here, and Napoleon is going to rest one more turn, and then he's going to push forward there. What I want to do inside this game is that I just want to bait out the AI's huge death stack armies, and then from there I can then just kind of destroy them, and afterwards, I mean, that just kind of finishes them off. So currently, can I even train grenadiers at all? Really? I'm actually out of grenadiers. Alright, well in that case, we're going to have to get the next thing. The drill school to train grenadiers, unfortunately, so I'll pop into the research tab. This university is still on fire. This university is now making improved coppering, so that'll make our ships a little better. And we're also we're doing public schooling, which is going to make research a little faster. Yeah, public schooling wasn't available until fairly relatively close in the future, in the present time. I mean, most of the people who got a formal education were the aristocrats and people and such. Okay, well, let's train some foot dragoons, I guess, in the meantime, and some more light infantry. And that'll be the end of this turn. So hopefully what happens on this turn is Ney will get attacked by the Prussians, although it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. In that case, we're just going to fight a siege battle the next turn, and during this turn, Napoleon should be ready, Louis Devant should be ready in a little bit, and going from there we should be able to press forward. So, Ney gets reinforced with some auxiliary troops, and then Breslau will fall. We'll fight this battle later on. Currently, let's get Napoleon to march into this area. Prussia's already at war with us. These people are bound to get conquered in one way or another. So let's fight this battle, but beforehand, let's take a look at the troops assembled here. So Napoleon Bonaparte, with his amazing stats, brings himself a weather balloon to the fight with a lot of cavalry, a lot of cannons, and the people over here actually have quite a good amount of troops. They have a lot of these musketeers, and these musketeers seem to be numbered off by their different brigade numbers, so that's kind of cool. I think this mod adds historical units for all of the different playable factions, so it's not just France and the notable nations, but I guess for these guys, inside Dresden, they have some elite infantry that are kind of parted out into different brigades. So that's kind of cool. I mean, like, the French had the old guard, the young guard, and the regular guard, and they also had some other cool regiments, some really good light infantrymen that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit about the different regiments a little later on. Currently, I just don't remember them right off the bat. Ooh, nice snowy battle today. So let's see, what do we have opposing us right now? So we have tons of canonry, some old guard troops, and the enemy is deploying with its huge force over here. So we do have another little settlement this time, which is rather nice. And we're fighting an offensive battle, so we're going to have to smash right through that. So with that said, I am going to get our guys to assemble, and I am going to do that by placing them inside lines. And what I want to do here is I just want to get our troops moving in a cohesive manner. So I'm going to get our guys to assemble like this. Yeah, so this time, inside this battle, we could try out that shock column technique. But you know, just due to how the game engine kind of works, I feel like it's one of those things that translates well into real life, but it doesn't do so well inside this game. So instead, I guess we'll try to pick our fights out inside this little field. So we'll get our guys to move up to the edge of this terrain. And we'll try to avoid the city inside this battle. Any sort of garrisonable building at this time was immensely difficult to assault. Yeah, any sort of garrisonable building would have been just a nightmare to press into, especially if it had a wall around it. So yeah, farmhouses, this would have been fairly difficult to actually press through. There was a little farmstead, well, it wasn't really a little farmstead, it was more or less of an estate mansion of sorts, near the Battle of Waterloo on the line, and was called Humugimont or something like that. Anyhow, it was effectively like a little farmhouse. It was a house. Not really sure if it was a villa or not, but it had a wall around it, and it was actually one of the crucial points inside the battle, simply because whoever controlled that little house, the British occupied it by the way, had a really rather good stronghold on one of their flanks. The problem with assaulting it, or the problem that the French had assaulting it, was that because it had a wall, the enemy could post troops on top, and the only way to really get them down was to either smash through the gate or to bring up siege ladders and climb into it. So the problem with that is that you would have one group of guys taking immense amount of casualties trying to get up there, and the defender could just effectively laugh off some of the blows. Rather the majority of the blows. So yeah, my plan for over here is that I'm just really using the conscripts as meat shields right now for the artillery and for the regular troops behind here, which seems to be going fairly well. And as soon as these troops march forward and get themselves into a decent location, we should be able to begin the siege. These guys, the Kingdom of Saxony, I've got to say, they have quite fine troops for not fighting so many battles. I mean, I see a lot of these 3 and 2 chevroned troops, making them quite impressive. Let's bring up what do we have here? Some 12-pounders, some 8-pounders, and some 6-pounders. The artillery shots back in the day, they weren't actually as big as I would imagine they would be. The 12-pounders fire a decent shot, but the 6-pounders fire the equivalent of I would say half the radius of it would be like a softball pretty much. I think even smaller than that actually. Yeah, cannons back in the day, they weren't as impressive as I thought they would, but yeah, there's a lot of history behind those guns. Now, what should we do on this battlefield here? So I'm going to get the conscripts to do the majority of the legwork again, simply because their lives are incredibly cheap to replace. So I'll get I'll get some of the legions to just kind of stack up there. I'll get the guns to assemble out front. The majority of the troops back here should be able to just keep their posture and they'll be fine. And we'll try to gun down the enemy with our artillery and then send in a shock column using this little gully here as cover. Yeah, the game kind of simulates terrain. Projectile-wise, the infantrymen, for some reason, have no problem shooting into the side of the hill, thinking that they'll be able to hit the people through the hill, though. So let's see, get these artillery guns set up, and we'll be able to fire. Getting these guns assembled was actually, rather reloading them was quite a difficult challenge to do. For these ones, these guns were breech loaders, so you couldn't open them from the back end, right? And that creates a major problem in that you would have to clear out the barrel after every shot. So what they used to do was that, oh crap, I should probably slow this down, focus their artillery. I want to get rid of those 6-pounders because those are the only things actually stopping us from pressing into them. And let the barrage off, they'll fire their own. And that is going to slice them up really nicely. That's actually a pretty big barrage. It was kind of bigger than I expected to be. But that's good. Clobber 2 guns. These guns, we can turn them off, then back on, then they'll pick their own targets and the enemy should react. There we go. So these cavalrymen with the guns need to be turned off from firing their guns because they do have that tendency to shoot themselves in the foot. So there we go, and there the battle begins. The AI will now react to the fact that they have no cannons and we have cannons by assaulting us, and then the battle will hopefully swing our way. That first barrage was deadly though, we already picked off 2 of their guns. Now their retaliatory fire is going to hit our conscripts, hopefully. Did they actually get a gun? Oh no, they got the carriage holder for a gun. Okay, that's not bad. In that case, what we can do inside this game is that we can get it so that the troops align just behind the guns ever so slightly. And that'll make it so that we can shoot the cannonry as well as use our infantry at the same time, so that's good. There we go. What should we do here? The grenadiers, are these grenadiers swarming and entering that building? There's a farmhouse here that you can garrison, indicated by the little door sign. Damn. Wish I saw that house earlier, I would have garrisoned it. Alright, so what we can do is that we can get these guys to assemble here. The guns will start firing, still, or rather continue firing. These batteries, let's give them a few targets. We'll get these guns to fire onto these side columns right here. These little clickable panels get pretty difficult to actually select due to the Darth Mod pack thing increasing the unit limits to 40 troops. So we'll get those guys to go up. This cannon unit, this battery, has to actually fire grape shot at the enemy. Yeah, so grape shot are effectively canister rounds, and canister rounds are effectively shotgun blasts from a cannon. Alright, so there we go. This fight is starting, so we'll get our guys to increase the frontage, and what we can then do from here is we'll get the grenadiers, or at least a small portion of them. We don't have any grenadiers actually, the Irish Legion will do. We'll send them into the town, seeing as how the enemy isn't actually using it, and we'll use it to flank them from the side. In the meantime, cannons need to switch to grape shot or canister shot, whichever one, and the terms are slightly interchangeable. They're technically different projectiles, but I mean, they're the same. They have the same purpose, right? So that's good. Yeah, we're going to kill a few of our own artillerymen this way by pushing our guys to stand.